This video is to go with your Fibercoiled basketry. I wanted to show you very quickly how to start and stop your basket so that if you're having problems with that, it'll be very easy for you to find. So as I said, sometimes these get a little frayy, and so I'm going to cut it at an angle. You may want to put a piece of tape on here, makes it cut a little easier. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to kick it off to the side. I'm going to leave it right here. I'm using a variegated yarn, which means it simply changes colors. And I'm doing that because I wanted it to be something that would be super easy so you could see the process as it goes through. So I've gotten my needle ready. I'm pulling my yarn through, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of my yarn. Remember, I talked about in my first video, you want to have this tail side by side with the part that you're using. Don't tie a knot here because it'll be hard to get through things. So I'm going to lie this on top here just like that, and then I'm going to wrap it a couple times just to secure it, and then I'm going to go as close to the end as I can, and I'm going to start wrapping side by side. And look at that, the color is already changing, which makes it really easy for us to kind of watch this process. So I'm going to go a little further down, and I'm laying them side by side, trying to do this nice and even. That orange is poking out a little bit, it's okay though. And so when I get down here, I'm going to start figuring out how big do I want this to be. If I want it to be a circle, I may want it to be a little smaller like this. If I want it to be an oval, I'm probably going to do something like this, because then as I build it up, it's going to be bigger and bigger. So I'm going to continue a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit more wrapping. And now my tail of the starting piece is fully covered, which is nice. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to pinch them together, and then I'm going to wrap them together. And that makes that little loop that we're going to work around. All right, so I have this little loop here in the beginning. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to wrap this a little bit more. And I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to pick back up after I've done a little bit more of this, and I'm going to show you how to finish it off. Now I've gone a little farther with this, and I've done my X's, and I've decided we're going to pretend like I finished my basket. Your basket is going to be much larger than this, but I'm just trying to give you an understanding of how to finish it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut it at an angle like this. Again, you always cut it at an angle, and if it makes it easier on you, please do the little trick with the tape. So what I've tried to do was make it so that the cut kind of goes at an angle like this. And now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to wrap these two together, the one that I'm trying to finish on and the one immediately before it. And I'm just going to wrap it, and I'm going to pull it tight. So that it gets those two parts together. And I'm going to keep wrapping it until I get to the end. And you can see how cutting it at an angle, oops, just twist it and put it back in there. Cutting at an angle makes it easier for it to kind of dissolve into the one previous. So they kind of end up looking like they're one piece, because ultimately they are, because we're binding them together very tightly. So now I'm going to take this, and I've almost covered that last part. And so now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to wrap it a little bit more. And I'm not going to wrap this as tight. I'm going to wrap this a little looser. And I'm using my needle for this because I have to go through the one before. I'm not just wrapping around a cord. So I'm pushing them together, and I'm making it very, very loose because I'm past the part where I was trying to secure my cord. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I could flip it over onto the other side if this is the back side or wherever. And I'm just going to kind of push this through, and you want to go through about 1 inch. That's obviously not 1 inch. It's about 1/2 inch, but I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to pull it a little tight. And you can see how you don't see, I may move this over a little bit to kind of cover up some of this, but you don't see the ending. You could keep running this for another 1/2 inch, maybe to the green, but since this is just a demo, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off now. I'm going to cut it as close as I can without harming the yarn, and then you have a finished end that nobody can tell where it is. If they really, really look or understand what they're looking at, they might be able to see it, but you want to make it as nice as possible with your finishing ends. Hopefully that helps. Good luck.